Thanks and welcome to the 6:15 with me, Kejang Henry at TMB. We begin with our headlines. As Cameroon gears up for a defining presidential race, history and ambition collide in a way not seen in decades. Former allies turned contenders Bello Buba Maigari and Issa Chiroma Bakari, once shaped by exile and survival in the aftermath of the 1984 coup, now find themselves facing a new rival. Retired Colonel Samuel Ekembe, a fresh voice promising to restore justice and discipline. Is this a dawn of a generational shift or the final chapter of an era long intertwined with Cameroon's post-independent politics? And in health, Douala has become a frontline in Cameroon's fight against zoonotic and foodborne diseases with the opening of a new Lenavet Annex. The health security facility born from local global cooperation aims to detect outbreaks of the spread. Meantime, leaders are rallying, or female leaders are rallying for change. From Yaoundé to Bamenda, voices are rising not just for greater participation, but for a woman on the presidential ballot. Top stories. Welcome back. You can reach us on our respective platforms on Canal International. With just 2 months or 3 months to go for Cameroon's highly anticipated presidential election, a new contender has officially entered the race. Retired Colonel Samuel Ekembe, now leader of the Republican Union, has declared his candidacy with a bold promise to restore justice, peace, and national development. His military discipline, coupled with political ambition, brings a fresh voice into an already tense, competitive electoral landscape. Maureen D. now reports.
Samuel Ekembe, a retired colonel and president of the Union Republican Party, has officially declared for Cameroon's October 2025 presidential election. The announcement was made during a press conference held in his native village of Ngambo, located in Melong, Mongo Division.
Nous avons besoin d'un peuple uni à l'intérieur d'une république.
Ekembe, 65, was formally endorsed by his party during a convention in Yaoundé in April 2025. He pledges to unite Cameroonians around the core values of justice, peace and development. His military background and leadership experience are seen by supporters as assets that could guide the nation towards a more stable and prosperous future.
Ekembe a une forte expérience professionnelle. C'est un homme de valeur.
However, the path to the presidency is fraught with challenges. Many young Cameroonians express skepticism, citing persistent issues such as rising unemployment and endemic corruption. Ekembe has acknowledged these concerns, stating that addressing the youth unemployment and enhancing transparency will be top priorities if elected.
Nous voulons que la corruption soit bannie.
As the 2025 presidential race intensifies, Ekembe says his message of unity and reform adds to compelling narrative to Cameroon's evolving political landscape.
And as Cameroon gears up for a defining presidential race, history and ambition collide in a way not seen in decades. Former allies that have turned contenders Bello Buba Maigari and Issa Chiroma Bakari, once shaped by exile and survival in the aftermath of the 1984 coup d'etat, will now face a new contender. Now, the divergent path, though they share a common destiny. In the following commentary, we take a look at these two, one who is a quiet technocrat and the other a fiery populist. Two towering yet controversial political figures from Cameroon's Grand North, Bello Buba Maigari and Issa Chiroma Bakari, have re-emerged at the center of national attention. Once allies of President Paul Biya, their parallel journeys are now converging as both men announced bids for the 2025 presidential election. Is their pedigree a sign of a common destiny? In 1992, Bello Buba Maigari was appointed Prime Minister by President Biya, a historic move that marked him as the first to occupy the Star Building under Biya's leadership. However, his tenure was cut short in the aftermath of the failed 1984 coup d'etat. Accused of involvement, Bello Buba fled into exile. Upon his return, Buba joined the National Union for Democracy and Progress, the NUDP. In a masterful political maneuver, Buba took over the party's leadership, sidelining Ibwa and launching his presidential run in the 1992 elections. That campaign marked the beginning of an ambitious alliance with the ruling CPDM, a political marriage of convenience that lasted nearly 3 decades, maintaining his visibility in government while keeping the NUDP tethered to the regime. Issa Chiroma's trajectory was more rugged but not less significant. Unlike Buba, he faced trial and imprisonment, emerging years later as a resilient political survivor. During the wave of political liberalization in the 90s, Chiroma found his way into parliament and later the cabinet, aligning with the CPDM while retaining a fiercely independent voice. Known for his combative style and populist flair, Issa Chiroma Bakari became one of the most recognizable spokespersons of the Biya government until he too began to distance himself from the establishment. Both hailed from the Grand North, both served in parliament and cabinet, and both remained within the Biya's orbit until recently. The emergence of Buba and Chiroma could reshape the dynamics of succession and regional influence. And despite their differences, Buba, the quiet technocrat, Chiroma, the fiery populist, their re-entry into the race for Cameroon's highest office signals a moment of reckoning. And meantime, women leaders are rallying for change. From Yaoundé to Bamenda, voices are rising not just for a greater participation but for a woman on a presidential ballot. Ate Bonaventure from Yaoundé.
The underrepresentation of women in political leadership and decision-making has slowed progress towards gender equality, with a considerable percentage of women ignoring the weight of their votes during elections.
La politique au Cameroun, c'est la femme qui la détient.
Women in Cameroon have a great influence when it comes to politics. We are representing 52%, but we don't understand why women mayors, for example, are on 10%. It is necessary that we should represent about 50% in the upcoming election.
De 10 à 30, pourquoi pas 50?
In Cameroon, women hold about 31% of seats in the national parliament, but account for less than 10% of executive positions, and elected female leaders want to change the narrative. Civic and political engagement is essential for demanding and defending women's rights, yet majority of women under 30 show no or little interest in politics and its processes.
We have noticed that women are scared. They have potentials, but they are not always ready to participate in political activities. We as female elected leaders have taken up the responsibility to school them and awaken their zeal to take up political positions and also become candidates for the upcoming election.
As Cameroonians look forward to the convening of the electorate, gender activists are upbeat that if women play their role actively, the results could turn out in their favor.
Thanks very much, Ate Bonaventure, reporting there from Yaoundé. And Douala has become a front line in Cameroon's fight against zoonotic and foodborne diseases, with the opening of a new Lenavet Annex building in Douala. Now, this health security facility, born from local cooperation or global cooperation, aims at detecting outbreaks before they could spread. And Morindi is reporting that it is a major leap forward in disease surveillance. Maureen.
Zoonotic diseases such as avian influenza, rabies, anthrax, and many more pose a substantial threat to public health, accounting for a significant percentage of infectious diseases globally. In Cameroon, the impact is profound. Foodborne diseases affecting millions annually, and children being particularly vulnerable.
16% of the mortality, human mortality, is caused by zoonosis. That is disease that have animal as origin. And it's our priority action to reduce that percentage to the lower level, even up to 5. So that's why we are going into daily surveillance. I would also like to remind you that Lanavet in the north also produce vaccines against animal diseases.
The newly established Lanavet Annex is equipped with advanced diagnostic tools, including PCR and ELISA technologies, enabling rapid identification of pathogens.
We have a laboratory for the diagnosis of diseases and zoonosis, which is basically for the surveillance. We do daily active surveillance of zoonotic diseases and also animal diseases in Cameroon and even above Cameroon. We receive samples even out of Cameroon. Some African countries are sampled to Lanavet. Okay, so on the second hand, the food safety laboratory, which will be in charge of controlling the quality of the food products, including drugs. Yes, so anything imported from abroad, we should be sure of the quality before we eat.
This facility is a product of collaboration between the Cameroonian government and international partners, notably the United States, through agencies like the Defense Threat Reduction Agency and USAID. The annex also aligns with Cameroon's commitment to the One Health approach, which recognizes the interconnectedness of human, animal, and environmental health. By integrating efforts across sectors, the initiative aims to enhance disease surveillance and response capabilities.
Well, thanks, Maureen. Authorities in Yaoundé are hitting the ground in Yaoundé's business markets to crack down on beef vendors that are violating pricing and weighing regulations. While a 2D market actually passed the test, Mfundi and Eligua fell short of that. Butchers are saying that soaring livestock prices are squeezing them dry. Beatrice Ngamo reports from Yaoundé.
Beef price control is intensifying as trade officials in Yaoundé says repression phase is not far-fetched. This July 2nd, the Central Regional Delegate of Trade embarked on meet the trade and butchers of some 3 markets in Yaoundé. At Etudi, the spring scales were confiscated and price display mandatory. 2,500 for beef with bones and 3,000 francs without bone.
As you see, they pre-pasted like this on the field in order to be sure that the consumer will not be disturbed.
Butchers are resisting, claiming that beef is too expensive compared to other meat.
Nous sommes confrontés à un grand problème. Le bœuf est excessivement cher.
At the Cliquez market, beef sellers use electronic and Roberval scales, and the prices are being respected. The weighing scale, should be noted, is another concern of trade officials.
So we are also on the field in order to be sure that the scales which are used are conform to the law.
At the Fundi market, price display and use of proper scales are also being respected.
Les gens viennent même à nous demander à 2800, 2900 parce qu'ils savent qu'au marché du Fundi, le prix est bas.
Here, like in the other 2 markets, the cry is the same. Cow is very expensive, and even the number of traders in the sector dwindling. Here, the number of cows slaughtered a day has dropped.
Regardez un peu, il n'est que 12 heures. Les tables n'ont même pas de viande.
The chain in this business, they reiterate, is long. Cow owner sells to buyer, who brings here to Yaoundé with all it takes, arrives here, they liquidate to butchers and others, and so on.
Et le transport a pris un coup, ça la rareté de l'herbe, quand ils viennent, ils sont obligés de nourrir ça autrement.
Consumers are called to help facilitate this control by denouncing perpetrators at police station.
Well, thanks very much, Beatrice Ngamo, reporting there from Yaoundé. And to this advertorial, the 2025 edition of the Finance Week has honored Prometal Group with 2 distinctions. The first for her leadership in industrial transformation in Cameroon and her leadership in the Samak zone. And of course, saluting her role to preserve and strengthen the fabric of Cameroon's production chain. Details.
The metal products of Cameroon, better known as Prometal's contribution in reducing the importation of goods and services in the country and the CEMAC zone as a whole has been highly saluted. This through their vision to transform 100% of Cameroon's raw material into finished products here in the country. By so doing, curbing importation and preserving foreign currency reserves. Its leadership role in transforming the industrial landscape fascinated Ecomaten. And during the third edition of the Finance Week, June 17, 2025 in Yaoundé, the committee distinguished Prometal with 2 prestigious awards.
Prometal, dans ce cadre, permet de préserver.
So Prometal, in this context, helps to preserve and strengthen our productive fabric and make us more and more independent from imports of goods and services through the products it offers on the market. The first prize was for investment in Cameroon, and the second prize was for investment in the CEMAC zone, and they are leaders in both categories.
Et ils sont leaders dans les 2 catégories.
Award for industrial leadership in Cameroon and that in the CEMAC zone received as encouragement and booster.
For these 2 prizes, really it will push me more and more to make more investment, and the special thing to make the transformation of our raw material in Cameroon. We cannot import all 100% of our raw material to produce anything in Cameroon. Our idea is to use the raw material which we have in the Cameroon to make the transformation in the industrial way.
Action with ongoing valorization of the made in Cameroon to protect local industry.
Today, Prometal, we already make a lot of things. We started with the bottle of the gas. We started with the steel structure also. This is the new last 2 factories last year in Prometal. Roalu already started the investment to make the aluminium coil, the pre-painting coil, and the electrical cable wire. It's something new in Cameroon.
Prometal shines through its commitment to consolidate its expansion in the CEMAC zone through significant financial flows that transform the industrial landscape of countries. It thus records a colossal volume of investment in 1 year, notably with the agreement of 30 billion CFA francs for the construction of a metallurgical and steel plants in the cocoa-free zone in Gabon. 88 billion CFA francs invested for the construction of a bauxite aluminium transformation plant with a capacity of 60,000 tons a year in Douala, among others.
Well, thanks, Beatrice Ngamo, reporting from Yaoundé. That at Victoria draws the curtain for this edition of the 6:15 with me, Kejang, Henriette Tembe, Lee Piju, and her panelists. We'll be coming up next with the brief, real actuality from all of us. Goodbye.